In remarks on the House floor last week, Representative Marianette Miller-Meeks spoke about the Inflation Reduction Act. The Iowa Republican and doctor spoke about the bill's implications on health care. Miller-Meeks said the legislation would, quote, limit competition and drastically reduce innovation within the pharmaceutical industry. She also warned that the United States would become dependent on countries like China for pharmaceutical research. The House of Representatives passed the landmark legislation along a party line vote, sending it to President Biden's desk to be signed into law.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to introduce into the record an editorial from the Wall Street Journal entitled Tilting at Windmills, which notes that the massive spending bill reduced global temperatures at the most by 0.28 degrees. This bill will not do what those on the floor today have said it will do. I would like to introduce that into the record and recognize my good friend from Iowa, Dr. Miller-Meeks, for 2 minutes.
The gentlewoman's recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank Representative Guthrie for yielding me time. I rise today in opposition of H.R. 5376, the Inflation Reduction Act. As a physician and a former director of the Iowa Department of Public Health, I am uniquely positioned to understand the true implications of this bill and how this bill will affect both doctors and patients, and rural Iowans are no exception. Interestingly, I just heard my colleague talk about how families were maybe kicked off their health care, and it doesn't seem to me that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle cared about that when they passed the Affordable Care Act and premiums rose dramatically. Allowing the federal government to set limits on drug pricing will limit competition and drastically reduce innovation within the pharmaceutical industry. Innovation also comes even after FDA approval to determine if drugs can be used for more than just their initial purpose. Additionally, narrowing the drug formulary by drug pricing through Medicare and negotiations will end up taking medications that you may already be prescribed and taking successfully, taking them off of the formulary and not being covered. And let me also illustrate, when Medicare Part D went into effect, the fact that there was not a negotiation by Medicare allowed generic drugs as low as $4 a medication. That was tremendously helpful to millions of seniors and continues to this day. The United States is the leading developer of new drugs, but without market competition, American companies will lose the incentive to undergo cutting-edge research. What does that mean to the average person? It means less cures for rare diseases or debilitating diseases, less cures, less treatment for debilitating diseases. Inevitably, the United States will become dependent on countries like China for pharmaceutical research and development, and patients will be limited in their options. And didn't we already see that through the pandemic? Additionally, this bill will extend Obamacare subsidies enacted in the American Rescue Plan, which do not have income restrictions. Rather than helping those who are most in need, the wealthiest Americans will continue to receive the average benefit. This enormous spending package is bad for Iowans, bad for the economy, and bad for hardworking Americans, and bad for the future of American innovation. Thank you. I yield back my time.